morning, everyone. Good morning from Saranda, Albania. I forgot where it was for like a split second. Saranda, Albania. It is a beautiful morning here. I want to just be around so you can kind of see. I mean, I know I always show this, but it just is so peaceful in the mornings. I love it. I just look out here and I love it until it gets hot. And in the evenings, then, with it being Riviera season, it's a little bit more crowded, but rumor has it that Riviera season is winding down. They have very specific weekends where this is the start, and it was true at the beginning. We kept hearing like, "Oh, it's coming, it's coming." We're like, "It's not really that bad." We were into June, and it still wasn't that bad. And they're like, "This is the opening weekend," and there were like floods of people. It hasn't been as bad as I thought, but it's for for where Bud and I are in this energy thing, and we just like being around people is really hard, like this whole process that we're talking about here on the daily tune in, this process of moving through this massive ascension phase, this rise in frequency. It takes a toll on the body and the mind, on the soul and the emotions and the mental part of us, and it doesn't take a toll. It's upgrading all of that. So as it upgrades, we have to integrate. So being around people sometimes is extremely difficult. I know many of you have talked about that as well, and especially being around unaware people has been difficult. So the season has been a little bit challenging, and at the same time, it has allowed us to kind of hunker down here. And be able to sit out here. I've been able to sit out here in the mornings and really have quiet time. There's a trash truck going up a couple blocks up. I can hear it. So if you can hear it, sorry. But just being able to sit in the energies of where we are. So I wanted to come in today and do a video tune in because I experienced like a really weird night last night, and I could feel a lot of energy yesterday, kind of pulsing, and it feels like almost feels jittery. It feels like pulsing energy. It's so obvious to me. If it's not obvious to you, it is okay. We have this thing called relevancy where we each have our own special gifts. We each have our own special purpose here that is coming to clarity. That's why we are doing all of this work, to get rid of the densities that have stood in the way of our higher self coming forth, and have kind of given us our identity up until now. But those identities were distortions of our truthful self. So by relevancy, what is awakening? What is becoming clear? The insights that you get are completely different from the insights that I get. So as I get insights, I bring them forth on the daily tune-in to give you another perspective. And what we're doing on in Storehouse Social, on our sharing circles and on Sunrise Sundays, is coming together to chat about our different perspectives. I don't know if y'all heard that, but that was a ship that honked its horn. And if you follow me on Instagram at all, I have been I've kind of died off on it because I've already gotten the the results. But at the beginning of the summer, I would do this with every ship that came in here because I love the sound of like a big horn, like a big ship horn. And I wanted to hear it. And it took me a while, but there was a big, and granted, he didn't do it when I was doing this. I don't think this translates here in Albania like we do in the States. We go like this when we drive past trucks to have a truck honk. But anyway, the intention was there. And since then, I've gotten several honks. I've heard several honks, and we just got one. So I hope that comes up so you can also hear the honk. It's kind of exciting. Where was I? Talking about the relevancy. So what's awakening for you is different. And what we've been talking about within Storehouse Social is like, if you have a mountain view, let's go, we have a mountain, let's say this is the top of the mountain, and it kind of comes down like this. My viewpoint is here, and what I experience in these energies, what I experience in my insights, what I experience in my own life and in lessons, being aware, what I share is from this perspective. But you might come in from this perspective. I have no idea what that perspective is because I'm on the complete opposite side of the mountain from you. However, it helps me to know what's over here. So when you come into Storehouse Social, into one of our sharing circles, and you share your experience, I get to see what your experience is, and someone else shares from here, and someone else shares from here. And before we know it, we're getting a pretty good perspective of what is happening in the growth, the massive, and the quick, fast growth that we're each having. And when we have more of that perspective, we start to connect dots, and it helps us to make sense of what's happening on my side of the mountain is also cohesive with what's happening on your side, or not. And if it's not, then we can sit and say, wow, what is that about? And we start to piece it together. That's what this is about. So this week we've had some massive, like, I kind of lost count, to be honest with you. Lost count of the solar flares, the CMEs. But what I do know is we have, today is Thursday. I don't know what the date is, the 18th. What's happening now is we have a Cannibal CME that is coming. And what a Cannibal CME is a really fast moving coronal mass ejection. And it kind of eats up all the ones in front of it. So when it hits, it's that tsunami. And I've been talking about tsunamis. We had, like, it was, and I talk about them because I feel them. So I'm not exactly sure that this Cannibal CME has arrived yet. But last night I slept. It's really weird. I usually sleep hard. I'm completely unaware of my physical surroundings. And last night was different. I'm going to try to explain it. So I found myself sweating a lot. Like, I felt feverish, but I wasn't. So a lot of what I experienced last night felt like back in the days. Like, I haven't been sick in a really long time. And I don't even mind saying that because my body just doesn't do sickness. It doesn't do illness. It doesn't accept it. Like, it really doesn't. And I know that, for some that'll be like, oh, but I have not been sick. I've been through a lot of stressful times in this last year and a half, and I haven't gotten sick. I haven't been to the doctor. That's why I didn't want to pay for medical insurance, because, like, I never go to the doctor. I take care of myself. So to pay insurance for something, for a system, into a system I don't believe in, was stupid to me. So I don't get sick. And yet last night, because I knew it wasn't sickness. It was this energy that was pulsating through. But I thought it was so interesting because how in the past, when I was unaware, when I thought I was sick, I was probably receiving upgrades. No doubt I was receiving upgrades. I was receiving energy of some kind. And because we weren't taught about this stuff, it feels yucky. So then your mind goes, uh-oh, you're getting sick. Uh-oh, what is this? Is it a cold? Is it the flu? Is it the this? Is it the that? I better go to the doctor. And if you go to the doctor, they're going to find something. You know it. It's their job to find something. So that old world really took away from our own awareness and our own trust in our body to heal itself. But now we're in a new world. We have a new awareness. And last night when I was laying there, I was sweating. But I only had a sheet on, but if I took the sheet off, I would be freezing. And it was that feverish experience, but I didn't feel bad. So I thought that was interesting. So I just kept the sheet on and I sweated out. And I knew, and here's the other thing, I'm gonna be real honest, because if we're not honest about our experiences, then we don't learn. But the sweat, like, it was smelly, like I could smell myself. And that really, to me, when you sweat, when we sweat and we smell, that's just toxic energy coming out. You're releasing. So that's why I kept my sheet on, because I was like, I'm gonna sweat this shit out and then I'll, clean up the sheets tomorrow. But um, I knew that whatever was being released was not of service to me. So I just let the sheet on, and I was also like shaking. I could feel new energy coming in. So as this new energy came in, I was shaking like this. I don't drink. I can honestly say that now because I don't. It's not that I did some heroic thing and quit drinking. I just um, didn't drink very much anyway and have zero affinity towards it now. There was nothing foreign in my body. Let's just say that. I barely ate. I didn't have much of an appetite, which is very different for me. I eat a lot. I like to eat. Bud and I cook a lot. Um, Throughout our days, we'll stop and we'll make lunch together, and then we eat lunch, and then I'll go and do my thing. He goes and does something, and we come back together. We're like, what are we having for an afternoon snack? And then we'll make like a yummy afternoon snack. So that, like, eating is like my joy during the day. And yesterday I could not. I had no interest. So when I went to bed, like, I was jittery and I was like, it's probably because I'm hungry, but I'm like, nah, it's not. It's not. I could feel this energy coming in. I don't believe it was the Cannibal CME yet. I believe it was the previous the previous energy from the sun that is now being integrated. And I also believe that this Cannibal CME, when it does hit, I think either today or into tomorrow, we will be prepared to bring in that energy, and it's just going to come from breathing. And that's all I did last night. Was I kind of was with it, but so I was breathing, but at the same time, my consciousness there was only like a very small pinpoint of my consciousness that was tuned into my physical experience with the sweating and like the jitteriness, because I was kind of fascinated with it. But a big portion of my consciousness was elsewhere, but I don't know where that was. I wasn't tuned into that. So it was a really trippy night. I was like in and out of consciousness, aware of my body and then not aware of my body. And what I know to be true is I have been asking for just clarity. I'm brave enough now where I'm like, just clear everything that no longer, like, just clear it all at once, because I know I've done a lot, like enough work on the big things that I can handle now a clearing, a really good purge of density. And my prayer, my intentions to Gus have been to just clear whatever needs to be cleared from here on out, so that I am able to fully clearly see this next life, to make the connection, to live this intent, like these insights, live this. I'm going to call it a dream, but I'm not like, oh, my dream. This is the dream that comes to me, is what comes in my imagination. It has something to do with this call to go in the direction of working with the State Department or wherever that leads. I don't know. It's leading me somewhere. And it's so foreign to me, and it's so out of like anything I've ever been interested in. And yet it excites me to no end. The more I read, the more I research our government, the more I learn about it, the more I understand what this calling is, the more I say yes to it. Whatever that is, however that shows up in my world, I'm calling that the dream, because it feels so close to where I am. And yet here I am, and there's a gap. And this gap is only a gap because it's the gap between consciousness, the consciousness of me where I am right now in this form, and me where I am in this next phase, this next iteration. And the flashpoint, what I call the flashpoint is when an idea flashes into reality. However that comes is standing right here, right here. And what's standing right here is just a distortion. It's a distortion from allowing us to go from where we are to that world that is presenting itself to you. What I mean by that is you are getting new insights. I don't know any other words to say it. You're getting new insights, new understandings. You're making connections. What's happening for me now that this new idea, I'm not even call it an idea, because we have this weird thing with like ideas are just made up. These are remembrances. What I know about this remembrance is it feels so true. I know it is my path, and I just can't make the connection on with my logical mind. So what I'm asking for, because I know my mind now understands this process of transformation. It's on board with me. It's still a pain in the ass sometimes, but I can get it under. I'm like, we're not doing that, and it's like, okay. So my mind is a faithful servant at this point, and so when it starts to it starts to kind of, actually, it hasn't really. I was going to say, when it starts to push back on accepting change, you have to work with that. You got to work with the overcoming the fear that your mind will give you when it's time to take a step towards something, when it's time to address something. The mind will give you all the reasons, all of the excuses, and that mind is a tricky one. I see it all the time. I was working with a client the other day, and she said something, and it sounded so logical. It sounded so real, and I almost missed it. And I was like, whoa, hold on. Let's look at that. Is that really an excuse for you not to take the step, or is it for real? And at the end of it, it turned out it was an excuse. We give ourselves really, really good excuses not to step forward because the mind's in the way. It is not a servant, it's empowered. So when we empower it, it means we listen to it. The mind is not the thing to listen to because it's old programming. It's becoming reprogrammed. I know that mine has been updated well enough that it is now a servant to my heart, and it is brave now. So it'll say, okay, I'm going to go with this. So what I am asking now of my guides, here I am, and here's this new version. I'm calling in the flashpoint. I'm calling in and intentionalizing that moment when I understand what the what the opportunity is that connects where I am now in the land of unknown to here's this vision that's been given to me, here's this remembrance, and the flashpoint is when I'm living it. I'm calling in the flash. Okay. We hear about the flash all the time. I'm tuned out of that completely now because what I see in this world of spiritual influence is people still leading others, influencers leading others to, it's coming, get prepared. What happens when our intentions tell something it's coming? It is always in the coming process. If you know it's in the field, if you know the flashpoint, oh, it's so close, people say it's so close, then call it in. Call it in. It's a flashpoint of consciousness first. And we cannot live it globally until we do it ourselves, until we live it, we experience it ourselves. So if you're watching this and you're following people that are constantly big energies coming in, it's coming, it keeps coming because it fuels their following. It fuels them coming back, waiting for something. And it's just fueling a dependence on someone telling them what's happening. So if you're watching this, I'm not telling you that something's coming. I'm saying pull it in. That's what I'm working on, and I'm on this journey with you. I know that there is a Cannibal CME coming, probably going to hit today, tomorrow, and it's going to eat the energies. So it's going to go, and it's going to grow. So when it hits us, it is clearing out all of the old. And I am courageous enough at this point that my intentions, my prayers have been, when this thing comes through, clear it all out. I can handle it. So that it can clear out any distortions that is standing between where I am and stepping into the new world, into the new path. I want to clear all of this out using the energy of this Cannibal CME. I point over here because I have the, I have to remember the title that I guess I gave it, so I have it written over here. So this Cannibal CME is giving us a huge opportunity to take advantage of this clearing. So if you are feeling ready, then take advantage of it. Ask your guides, ask your team to clear out. Maybe you don't want to clear out, because sometimes if you have enough density and you ask for it all to be cleared at once, it would be too much of a shock of a system. You have to know yourself. You have to know what you can handle. You have to know what you just have to have confidence in the trust that you have. I now know I've cleared enough. There's nothing super heavy in my world. I'm pretty much at peace. If there's, these last couple of last couple of 7 to 10 days, 2 weeks has been pretty intense energetically, and nothing has been super heavy for me. Not a lot of anxiety, no worry at all. What it has been intense in is the realizations, the remembrances of this next path coming through. Like being urged to sit down, like not even having, it didn't even feel like I had control when I sat down to start the process to work for the State Department. When I keep wanting to call it an idea, but when I had the remembrance of this is the next step, I thought, that's crazy. I don't even really like our government, I'm not proud of it, but at the same time, it made sense, because the message I got is, if you don't like something and it's a pivotal part of your life, then change it. You talk about changing things. So we're asking you, would you be willing to go into the very environment in which you have spoken out about, the very environment in which you see corruption, you see manipulation so clearly, it pisses you off? And I was like, yes, I would love to get in there and bring this consciousness into our government. Okay. And literally in that moment, I grabbed this computer, I got on the website, took the first step, and it was all done. It was easy. It was fluid. And I thought, okay, this is where I'm going. And whether or not it leads to an actual job or whatever, it is leading me to something, because it's so different. It's so not at all what I would have chosen from what I know about myself. So what's happening is a whole new version of ourselves is coming, and we've been saying this, and we've been seeing we've been talking about it in Storehouse Social. We've been seeing the differences, the changes in ourselves, how we're handling different situations. All of a sudden, someone will share, "Is like, gosh, I used to do it this way, but now I chose to do it this way, and it worked." And we're all like, "It worked!" It's like being new and being assertive and being truthful and being confident in who we are, and being confident that I have a say here. I have a say here in this world. And if I don't say it, then I'm not doing what I've come here to do. I'm not living my purpose if I am not being truthful to myself every single day and saying something to the dude that I just see throw a water bottle to the side into the bushes. How many times I've seen people do, shitty things, and I'm just like, what a jerk, and I move on. I don't have the ability to just look away anymore. I've got to say something. So confrontation is all around me, when we go out in the world, because I see so many things that hurt the planet or are not good for everyone. It's good for that person because he throws his trash over and his hands are free, right? But he's just like trashed up my place, trashed up my home, trashed up my planet and everybody else's. So that's what we are being faced with. That's what it means to step into and be a pioneer of the new world. It's to fight. It's to fight. I don't want to say fight, because I don't want to do that anymore. It's to stand up. is to stand up for our world. It's for our planet, for others, for ourselves. So having the courage to be that is immensely huge for me because I've never had courage. I've never spoken my truth. I just got complacent with just being like, I'm angry, but I know how to handle anger. I will transmute this. Okay, it's all good. But someone else still continues to do their thing. I haven't planted any seeds about the fact that throwing trash down in the bushes is really not good for all. The fact that we even have to say that to somebody nowadays blows my mind. But the amount of times that I've confronted people with throwing trash on the ground, smoke, take their last cigarette out, blows my mind. But that's the world that I'm standing up for, and I'm doing it more and more. And I want to stand up for our government. I have the desire, and I know that I have the skills to change the way our government is perceived. I know that sounds like a really lofty, go do that, Vedette. But it is so deep in me. It's my being now that it's really becoming something for me. I share all that because the same opportunity is there for you. This clarity, this knowing, this confidence is all available. It's just the distortions in between of the mind, which have to be cleansed. So these next couple of days with the Cannibal CMEs is going to be, I would imagine, rather intense. So understand that the intensity is simply either continuing to, my cards are stuck together, either continuing to clear out density, which will be uncomfortable. Take Epsom salt baths, get out in nature, put your feet in the ground, go swimming in a lake or the ocean if you can. Just be with the emotions. Allow them to pass through. Cry them out if you have to. Wail. Showers for me have been like my little rituals of, for a long time, actually. I've always that's how I grieved. That's how I worked through, a lot of my, through the I'm going to call it the trauma of divorce and all that time frame there of where life was it felt like I was just lost in clearing the old, between divorce, and then I had to do a year of a custody thing. And then being a single mom there and working this job that I freaking hated. Oh, I hated that job. Didn't pay shit. But anything more would have taken me away from my kids. And I was a single mom with no help. So I just took this $15 an hour job but I was managing multi-million-dollar projects. So I was pissed. I was like, I saw the money that I was managing and saw the money that was coming in my paycheck. So I didn't give extra time. When it was time, I left so I could get home with my kids. And that time was so deep in grief, and I was tired, and I didn't know what I was going to do. I was barely making ends meet. I was dependent on, the help of my mom, which was so humiliating to me. And, but I knew that if I knew I had the capability of going out and getting a higher paying job, but I've seen what that has done. I had higher paying jobs before, and they made you work 60, 70 hours a week. And that wasn't the value. That's not what I valued. I valued being with my kids. So there was a lot of turmoil for a while, and I would get in the shower every night, and I would just release. I would sloppy cry, because in the shower, who cares? Snot can come out like anything. You can just let it all flow out. And I'd finish cleaning up. I'd come out and I would be completely renewed, exhausted and renewed at the same time. So allow these emotions to pass through you, because once they are passed through, they are cleared. The other side of this, if you've done that work, a lot of that work, the other side of it is that these energies, this Cannibal CME has the opportunity to magnetize, to amplify the message, the dream, the purpose for you, the next stage for you. That is coming into massive, massive clarity. So I want to pull a card really quickly. These are my little rounder cards. I've kind of talked about them, but I'm kind of excited about them. These are little things that I had in, I cut these out so they're like little, I don't know, watercolor paper that I cut out in these rounders. So when I would watch TV or we'd hang out in our house in Austin, I would just put these all around and just kind of fiddle around and paint on them because they were just easy to put on my lap and do. And now I've learned that it's kind of been a card deck that I've been creating this whole time, and I didn't really see it that way as I was doing it. It was just a way to, to fiddle. So let's see what the cards want to tell us in expansion of what we've already talked about here. Okay, cut the deck. Oh gosh, I love this one. This is why I love it. Okay, this says, let it be an expectation. So here's why I love this one. It's got the infinity sign on, and I don't know if you can see it. Yes, there's the infinity sign. It says Soul Mama. My first book was Soul Mama. And I feel like I'm Soul Mama. I'm living from my soul as a mom. And soul mamas aren't ordinary. They aren't templated. So immediately what comes to mind is to flow with these energies that are going to be dropping today. Okay. And let it be an expectation. Let it be an expectation that all is well. I keep writing that to people. I've been checking in via text or messaging people in Storehouse Social, being like, "How you doing? You doing all right? I haven't heard from you, or I have, and I know you're moving through some stuff. How can I support you?" And at the end of it, when we kind of move on from the conversation, I always end it with "all is well." That is the big piece that we have to know. The expectation right now, if you are here, is we know that this time in history, in our planetary history, is completely new. It is taking us to places in the physical realm that we have never been in, and the energetic realm. It is taking us back into a connection with the spiritual realm that is our natural place of existence, but it has been hidden from us. It has been oppressed from us. Is it oppressed? Is that suppressed? That's the word I want, not oppressed. We have been oppressed by the suppression of information on our spiritual selves, on the truth of who we are. And we have been greatly misled that we are only physical beings that are here to do work, and that has enslaved us in that matrix systematized world that just is a cycle. Make money, get a job you don't like, have it affect our bodies, go into a system that really feeds illness rather than heals illness in most cases, and then go to church and pray to a God that you can only get to through a medium called a priest or rabbi or whatever, when in fact that is our divine sovereign right to go right to God ourselves, because we are made in the image and likeness of God. Therefore, that has been greatly distorted in the world of religion. So we're really becoming clear that we have not been supported in our full true nature. That is what nature is doing for us. That is what Source, God, Spirit, is doing for us through these energies, having us here in physical form during this time to experience this massive transformation from a physical being back into the knowing that we are spiritual beings having a mental and emotional experience that expresses in physical form. So if we know that and we keep the expectation that all is well, then we are living our truth, because Source doesn't bring any one of us into this world to not be well. We are sourced into this world fully capable, fully abundant, fully sovereign to live and be sustained by the storehouse of good. The storehouse of good is God's domain. And somehow I've been fully sustained in this last year and a half by Source. I have built a trust that I will always be cared for, that I will always be supported. It's my expectation now. So when fear pops up and my brain says, oh my God, rent's due in a couple weeks, my heart says, it's all good. It's worked out this far. It'll work out. And then my mind says, oh yeah. Okay, I get it. All is well. All is well. This is being retrained. So let the expectation be all is well. If I hurt, if I get a migraine because these CMEs are clearing out distortions, if I get a bellyache, if I have diarrhea, if I get the chills, if I get a diagnosis, it just means all is well and things are being moved out. And when we live in the expectation that all is fluid, all flows, all is well, we are delivered that intention and all is well. The other thing that I love about this is because these traveled, they were packed into suitcases for a long time. A lot of them started to kind of stick together. So when I got them out, I had to peel them apart, and I was like, I'm ruining them. And at the same time, I pulled this one off, and so there's remnants of the card that was on top of it. And at the same time, all is well, right? It's not perfect. There's mess on here. There's remnants of the old. There's parts of the old world, the last card that was on top of this. And yet the message is still there. There's no distortion because some of this comes with you. So we're always going to have a little bit of distortion. That's just how it's the human way. But even with distortion there, as long as distortion is fear. It's a fear of any kind. Fear is always going to be with us. It's always going to present itself. We don't clear enough that we never fear again. We just know we clear enough to understand how to move through it. So when fear does show up, we just say, oh, hello, imperfect thought, imperfect intention, imperfect circumstance. Don't you know that all is well? That's my expectation. And this you can't see it as much. So when I look at this card, I see the infinity sign. I don't see all this like I did when I first pulled these out of my suitcase and started ripping them apart. I was kind of bent out of shape about it, because there were some really cool cards that were in here that the same thing happened to. A couple of them ripped a little bit, and I was it was such a process, it was the whole process. It was trying to be all careful, and it was tweezers, and it was taking so much time. And finally I was just like, what would happen if I just go? Some of them not so good, but I'm still using them because life took them here, ripped them out of their old existence, and now they come with imperfections. I come with a lot of imperfections into this world because I had to get really imperfect in order to pass through the fear and know that all is well. So that is the message for today. I'm probably going to be doing a deeper reading. So if you have a specific question that comes up with this daily tune in, let me know, because if you're experiencing something, I want to go deeper into a full card reading on this topic, because I do believe these next few days are going to be rather intense. So I want to make sure that I support you all here in Storehouse Social. So whatever is showing up in your world that feels a little imperfect, let me know, and we'll read a little bit further on it and go deeper. For those of you here on YouTube that will be watching this recording, I want to invite you over to Storehouse Social. It's the evolution of what was the Ascension Bank. It just gives us more space to grow in conversation. It's a different platform that allows us to commune way easier than anything on Patreon could ever do, or Telegram. That just didn't work. So I reorganized on a new platform and also opened it up. So it's just a place for us to explore and have fun. And if you have something, if you are a healer, you have something you are passionate about, we have ambassadors in Storehouse Social that can have your own circles. You can host your own events. You can bring your passion. You can practice your modality and introduce others to your gifts. They're all coming online right now. And many of us are like, what do I do with this? And how do I? This is where you practice. That's what Storehouse Social was for me. It was a place for me to play, to do card readings. I'm not necessarily a card, I don't identify as that, but I love using cards to go down deeper into the energies. It's fun for me. Writing is fun, so I have a space on there where I just write. Sunrise Sundays are a time for us to gather on a Sunday in sacred communion with each other and hear a message and talk about that message, share all of our different perspectives so we go deeper as a community. This is a community first that are all exploring different ways to peace, to social wellness, and to global wellness. If you'd like to join us, that's where I'm hanging out most days. I bring you this daily tune in because I know that you liked it. And I want to keep doing this. I don't do a video every single day simply because I'm not called to do it every single day. So I didn't want to promise that it would be. But I do a daily tune in every day in Storehouse Social. Sometimes I write it. Sometimes it's just a small little thing. Sometimes it's one of these. So today it's a recording. Tomorrow it may not be, which is why they're not exactly daily on YouTube. So if you want the daily tune in and you want to have a real chat and you want to find soul family that can speak your language, that you can hang out with and truly commune with, people with light-hearted hearts, then Storehouse Social is the place to find us. And that link will be somewhere on this page. Thank you all for being here. I so appreciate these mornings. Thanks for spending this quiet time with me. I appreciate it. See you later.